In the Gospel of Luke, there's three stories or parables that display something being lost and being found. And then Jesus starts to talk about a father and his two sons, and ties in these new layers of cultural relevance and these new layers of human experience into this lost and found principle. But there's so much dynamics and moving pieces that relate to our human experience in this story that make it, in my opinion, almost impossible to really unpack and really understand. But as I started to study and dig deeper into Luke 15, it just comes alive. There's so much stuff that goes on in this little passage that translates to my life, translates to my situation, translates to my past, and speaks to my future. I'm going to sum it up for you. It's in Luke 15, starts at verse 11. I'm just going to sum it up for you real quick. This father has two sons, an older son and a younger son. And the younger son decided that he didn't want to work for his dad anymore. He didn't want to stay home, but he wanted his father's money. He wanted his father's inheritance. And so he asked his dad, "Dad, I want to leave. I want to go. Can I have my money before you die?" And the father obliged and gave him his inheritance. And the older brother decided to stay with his dad at the farm working. The younger son goes off to a far land and he squanders his money, just wild living, partying, spending, doing this, doing that, not caring, just living that ideal life that we all think we really want. And then he blows through all his money and a famine hits the land. And so he's ends up being broke, in a situation that is difficult to get a job, gets a job that is beneath him culturally, especially from where he came from, and then decides, I'd be better off to go home to my dad and just work for him as a servant. Not even be a son again, just be a servant in his house, at his farm. Just a basic employee. So he had gotten to a pretty bad situation where if he thought being a basic employee for his dad and his older brother after the way he left, man, things had to be pretty tough to get to that place where that's a better option. And then he goes home and the father sees him coming and runs out. And before the younger son can even apologize or tell his dad, like, "I'm so sorry, I sinned, I was wrong, you were right, oh my goodness," before he could even do that, his father embraces him, loves him, brings him in, and doesn't just give him a job, but restores him to what he is, and that's his son. He reestablishes him into the family as a full-heired son once again. They start to have a big party to celebrate his return. And then the older brother, who's been working this whole time, sees this, hears the music bumping, sees people partying, and is like, "What's going on?" Asks one of the workers, "Hey man, what's going on? Your brother's back and we're celebrating." And the older brother is just livid. He can't handle this. "Are you kidding me? Your son left you, left me, spent all your money, and now you throw him a party for coming home?" That just didn't make sense to the brother. And the father goes out there and puts his arm around his older son now and just breaks it down with the heart of a father. "Hey, your brother, my son, was basically dead, and now he's back. I don't care what he did, how he did it. All I care is that I have my son again." And so that's kind of the story that Jesus is throwing at us. And there's a lot of layers to it. The Father represents God and his love for humanity. And that it is all about his love pursuing us. That no matter what we've done, what we do, how far we've walked away from God, his love is always going to reestablish us as a son or a daughter in his family. It's his love and his kindness that leads us to repentance, and that leads us to the younger son. That's humanity. That is people. We want to go our own way. We want to be our own boss, and we want to answer to nobody. But oftentimes, it's a corny saying that I grew up hearing it, but it's so true. Cliches stick around for a reason. Sin will take you further than you want to go and keep you longer than you want to stay. And that's exactly what happened. He decided he wanted to be his own boss and became a slave to everything else. He wasn't free at all, even though he was seeking freedom. And then the older son is painted this picture of stuffy religious church leaders of the time who don't like seeing people who don't deserve the love of God receive the love of God and start to live a godly life. They're the judgmental, they're the demonizing, they're the stuffy, uptight, self-righteous, in my opinion, horrible people that keep so many broken people away from God because they put their agenda and their judgment above God's love, and it's wrong. And so you have this crazy, deep depths of a story that Jesus is telling. And it gets so complex because I can honestly say I have had experiences lining up with all three. I'm a son and I'm a father. I've been a sinner and I've repented. I've thought people should clean themselves up more before they can start to do things and serve God in certain ways. And I've repented of that, and I've seen the love of an earthly father, and I've given love to my son, and I've felt the love of God in my life. But I still sin, and I still judge people unjustly because I'm in the middle of this story on all three aspects. And I truly believe that if you're a human being, you can relate to one part or all parts of this story. And so as we continue later, we're going to dissect and get into all three of these: the father, the young son, and the older son.